Okay, let's talk about the MVP award for this upcoming season. I think in a previous video I said that Embiid was my pick, and I do still mess with that idea quite a bit. So the odds have Luka at number one, Embiid at number two, but they're pretty much neck and neck. And then from there, you get all the likely candidates of course, Giannis, KD slightly above Jokic, which is a little interesting. Tatum, Steph, Ja, Kawhi, LeBron, Devin Booker, Trae Young. The one obvious counter to the Embiid thing is the fear of Embiid missing games. He's not the only one. Of course, with the MVP award, there is some politics or precedents or whatever you want to say that go along with this thing where, the one that I've mainly noticed is that it's really tough to get that third MVP award. From a pure basketball standpoint, I can totally rationalize Giannis or Jokic getting the award this upcoming season, as well as Steph. Don't forget, he could also get his third MVP. Although I would like to establish real quick, with Embiid and the Sixers, we all know that the Daniel House, PJ Tucker, and DeAnthony Melton pickups were big to improve their rotation. We get Harden having a little bit more time removed since the hamstring injury. Of course, the Harden Embiid pick and roll was still really, really effective. And Joel, they leaned on him a little bit more as a passer throughout parts of last season, especially, when Ben Simmons was not there before they traded for Harden. I just think he's primed to, be the guy, for Philly to win a crap ton of games in the East and all that. But to get back to Giannis and Jokic and then some of those other names, from a basketball standpoint, I'm like, yeah, why can't the Bucks put Giannis in a position to be right there again? Of course, Giannis puts the team in the position, you know what I mean? But it's like, they won 51 games last year with Brook missing pretty much the whole year, and we all know how important he is to their defense, even if Giannis is still their best defensive player, followed by Drew. And then you look at Jokic, he dragged them to 48 wins last season without, most of the guys, right? MPJ and Murray especially. I've already said how much I like the KCP and Bruce Brown pickups. But look, it's the precedent of this award. The idea pretty much is if the voters are going to give you a third MVP award, that they are acknowledging that you are within the inner circle of the best players of all time. And I don't know if they want to do that yet with Giannis and Jokic, even if, Jokic is on the pathway to being there. Giannis, you could argue he's already kind of knocking on the door because he got the one ring and he had one of the best finals performances ever. But it's just kind of how it is. I'm a little hesitant to just go there with this award. Now, the one name with that, though, is Steph. Because at this point, of course, Steph is probably one of the 10 best players ever. Will Steph go as hard in the regular season as Giannis or Jokic or Embiid will? I don't know. At the same time, he might just shoot 47% from three on 14 attempts a game. It's like, well, he's the MVP, guys. There you go. Anyway, to mention some of the other names, in the case of Luka, it is set up in the sense of there might not be another team in the league where the best player is so much better than everybody else on the team. So that could help his case there. And then as far as Dallas as a whole, defensively, I think they should still be very good. Christian Wood has been inconsistent throughout his career defensively, but also this is the best team he's going to be on in a minute. So we'll just see if he's on his best behavior on that side of the floor, I guess. I would imagine that JaVale should be fine with what they ask him to do, just being a rim protector basically defensively. And as far as Luka's conditioning, he is playing in Eurobasket this summer, so that helps. He did just have an ankle injury the other day. I don't know if it's a big deal or not. I'm going to guess that Luka's going to be in the best shape we've seen him in to open up the season. Kevin Durant's an interesting one here. Will he get demoted in the running because he caused a disturbance? We'll say that for this offseason. If Kevin Durant is just himself, basically, if you want to dive into the super numbers, there are some things that say he's not shooting at the rim as much as he once was after the Achilles injury, but he makes every shot, so what does it really matter? But the one thing here, of course, is it's the Nets, and who the hell knows if the chemistry of that team can work. Everybody in there knows that KD made that attempt to get Steve Nash out of there. Can you move on from that? I have no idea. Let's talk about Tatum. So the Celtics were 27-7 after they were 500 in the middle point of the year last year. And during that 27-7 run, Tatum basically put up 29, 7, and 5 on 64 true shooting. If you did that for a whole season, yes, I think you're right there because, there's some fears with Horford and maybe he might age 5 years in one offseason. I'm not banking on that, but it's possible. You've got Time Lord's lower body injuries, which are still a thing, Brogdon's as well. but we can assume the Celtics defense is still going to be great. Tatum is, of course, part of that. And I guess the other thing is just where is his growth as a passer? I mean, we saw them give him a lot more pick and roll possessions in the playoffs, and as the regular season dwindled down and they just beat everybody by 25 points, it could happen, but also Tatum's going to have to come out of the gate amazing. And a weird thing with him the past 2 years is the season starts and suddenly he shoots like 49% from the rim, and it's like, dude, why are you missing these layups? A couple other names on the list. Kawhi. I just don't know if you can really trust Kawhi to play enough games in the regular season. I know he's not the only one, but for him especially, like I saw somebody on the internet say, I would rather bank on him getting finals MVP than regular season MVP, and I think I'm in that same boat. In the case of LeBron, I mean, in the very, very specific scenario that is not a guarantee of they pull off a move for Westbrook, we'll just say it's the Pacers move. They include both picks. They did it. Hooray. Anthony Davis is healthy, has the bounce back season that Laker fans dream of, and then LeBron goes like 7% harder in the regular season. That's the scenario, and as of right now, it is tough to see that versus making the case for a bunch of these other guys. Ja Morant actually has higher odds in this one that I'm looking at over Kawhi and LeBron. When you start comparing the top guys, you do get a little more specific when it comes to numbers and all that. And basically what I'm getting at is Ja probably needs to get like a little more efficient. I mean, he had a 57 true shooting, which, listen, given the amount of shots he takes, very good. Not complaining at all. But when you're comparing him to like Embiid, there's just a different level you got to get to. And whether that is getting better on free throws, because he's shot at basically 75% for his career, being a little better from three, I mean, those are your two obvious avenues. For Devin Booker, I think the one pathway there is if CP takes the foot off the gas a little bit to be able to preserve himself more for the playoffs, in which case it's more of the Devin Booker show. Similar to Ja, Booker's efficiency might also hurt him like a little bit. Like, he's still very efficient, but when you're talking about the MVP, you basically need to go to like God mode efficiency. So for example, like Devin Booker and Kevin Durant shoot a comparable amount of their attempts from mid-range, but KD shot over 50% from mid-range last season, whereas Booker shot in like the mid to high 40s, which is still very good, but it's just a little different. Another one I've seen a bit of is Zion. So, of course, his health is a concern, and also I just don't know if I'm confident enough in the Pelicans, mainly because of their defense. I mean, I love Herb Jones, but he's just one guy, to be able to say, yeah, they're definitely going to get one of the top seeds in the West. I mean, I don't think you have to get the number one seed anymore to win MVP, but it's tough at this moment to be like, yeah, I'm really on board with the Zion MVP stuff, even if he could have an amazing season. A couple other outside ones, I've seen a little bit of noise about the T-Wolves, like could Edwards or Towns have an outside shot of it, because Gobert's going to make them a great defensive team, and therefore they're going to win a lot more games. The thing there, though, is while you love having Edwards and Towns on your team, they're both going to shoot a lot, which means it kind of hurts each other's chances of winning an award, even if the team's success will be better for it. Just to be fair, when it comes to the outside shots thing, I can at least mention Trae Young, Anthony Davis, Dame, Jimmy Butler, Paul George, because they're also listed here. Maybe it's your team isn't good enough, maybe it's you're not the best player on your team, or in the case of Jimmy, you don't really shoot enough to have a real chance, even if we all recognize how good you are overall. Anyway, again, Embiid is my pick.